There appears to be, as we've been reporting, a split between Republicans after President Trump approved airstrikes against a Iranian nuclear site. Let's bring in 11Alive's Zach Merchant back to the show, co-host of the Georgia Vote. So glad that you're here with us. We missed you, Zach.
Hey, I missed you guys. You know, I was out for a little bit, just traveling, and every Friday I woke up and I was like, I got to be on the take here. So it's good to be back, Chesley.
All right, thanks for joining us, man. All right, we talked about this split between Republicans, and this does include a prominent Georgia congresswoman, right?
It absolutely does. We're talking about Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Most folks in Georgia, most folks in the country who track politics, of course, will know that she is a staunch conservative and a staunch ally of President Donald Trump. But in this world of modern conservative politics, and in particular sort of the MAGA, the Make America Great Again wing of the modern Republican Party, where they are often in lockstep with the president, Marjorie Taylor Greene in this case has broken with the president. She has been a vocal critic of last weekend's, or I should say this past weekend's, American airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, and in pretty vocal terms too. I want to read you just a little bit of a tweet that Congresswoman Greene put out earlier this week. This was on Monday. She tweeted that during the campaign, President Trump campaigned on a promise of no foreign wars, no more regime change, and then she goes on to say, "It feels like a complete bait and switch to please the neocons, the warmongers, and the military-industrial complex to carry out these strikes." So it was some pretty harsh criticism.
This seems to be, or at least the first time I have noticed her make a complete switch. I mean, in the words you just read, sounds more like what the Democrats have been saying. What do we make of this?
You know, for as much as sort of the MAGA movement is typically in line on things, just like any modern, and I shouldn't even say modern, just like any political coalition in the course of history, it's made up of people, and there are always going to be different degrees and different views on things, even when the majority of the coalition generally sees things the same way. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has been fairly consistent on this point. She has been critical for some time of what some would call foreign intervention and American military foreign intervention. But, you know, we should be clear, too, she made those comments earlier this week, and obviously things have evolved a little bit since those strikes were carried out on Saturday night, right?
All right, so a Democratic primary race for the Metro Atlanta seat in Congress is filling up. What's going on with the Georgia's 13th district?
Another sort of, we talk about these coalitions and how even inside of a party there can be dissent and friction and controversy. This is what we're seeing here on this case on the Democratic side. Of course, Congressman David Scott, he currently represents Georgia's 13th congressional district, and if you're not familiar with that, it's a Metro Atlanta seat that covers counties to the south and the east of the core of downtown Atlanta, so it's an essential piece of Metro Atlanta's congressional district. David Scott has served that district for more than 2 decades. He's a Democrat. He's a long-serving incumbent, right? You'd think he'd be a very tough person to challenge, and he may prove to be. But there are a lot of people who are rolling the dice and saying they want to get into this race. There is a growing field of Democrats who are entering the primary to try to unseat him. State Representative Jasmine Clark is one of those candidates. We talked with her earlier this week, and we will be airing a lot of that interview this Sunday on the Georgia Vote.
Has he had anything to say about this rush of Democrats trying to get in?
You know, he hasn't, and it's not for lack of trying. We've reached out to him and his office repeatedly, both following State Representative Clark's comments and in interviews, following interviews with other Democratic contenders, State Senator Emanuel Jones and former Gwinnett County School Board Chair Everton Blair. They're also in this race, and many of them have raised questions about Congressman Scott's ability to perform in office. He's pushing 80 years old. He's been in office for a long time. They've raised some questions about his performance. We've, of course, brought that to Congressman Scott every time they're made. So far, he has never responded.
Yeah, this has been something we've been hearing a little bit lately, the push for more younger folks running for office. Is that what you're seeing across the board, maybe?
I think certainly in this case, this is a real microcosm look at that, right? One of the things we keep hearing from these candidates who are all substantially younger than Congressman Scott, the youngest being Everton Blair, who he's like 33, he's very young. One of the criticisms that we hear is they say there is frustration among the Democratic base. There's this urge to see more fight from elected leaders, and they say that they're not getting that from Congressman Scott. We should put this caveat here, though. You know, there's this big field, there's a lot of challengers. We haven't heard from Congressman Scott in response to these claims directly. But unseating an incumbent still is very difficult. We talked to UGA political scientist, a legend in Georgia politics, Charles Bullock, earlier this week, and he said, despite this big field, you got to remember, you're a long-serving incumbent. You've got a big advantage in name recognition, and you've got a big advantage typically in fundraising too, both critical components of winning an election. So you got this big Democratic field, but the primary ballot, you're going to have a lot of options if you're a voter, and it's way too early to handicap which way it could break.
Gotcha. All right, we're running low on time here. Real quick, I want to get to this. Big date on the calendar coming up. What are you watching for?
Very big date on the calendar, June 30th. It's the end of the campaign finance reporting period here in Georgia. It's sort of put up or shut up time for a lot of candidates here. If you're already announced in the race for governor or lieutenant governor, attorney general, you're going to want to put up a big number there. If you're in the wings, thinking about jumping in or not, you're going to be paying close attention to see how much money these candidates have raised.
All right, our friend, Zach Merchant, thanks for joining us today. Don't stay away so long, man, next time, okay?
It's good to be back, Chesley.
All right, good to see you. You can watch the Georgia Vote with Zach and Faith Jesse on Sunday mornings right here on 11 Alive at 11 o'clock and on 11 Alive Plus.